Our first essential question is how do you add and subtract with integers? For vocab, the first word is integers. What are they? Well, actually, it's very simple. They're positive and negative whole numbers and 0. 0 is also included as an integer, even though it's neither positive nor negative. The additive inverse, well, that sounds really complicated, but listen carefully and you'll see how simple it is. Any numbers n and negative n that are opposites. The sum of n and negative n is 0. That's what the additive inverse is all about. It's a rule just explaining that when you add two opposites, you'll always get 0. Negative 5 plus positive 5, 0. Negative 13 plus positive 13, 0. Positive 1 million plus negative 1 million, still 0. Next is absolute value. Absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. It's all about distance. So if you think about a number line, how far away is a number from 0? Whenever I measure distance, I've never measured in negative numbers. I don't know about you. If I were measuring the distance between home and school, I would always measure using positive numbers, even if school is behind me in a way. Therefore, the absolute value is always going to be positive, since distance is always positive. Whenever you're trying to find absolute value, usually you'll see the number inside the absolute value bars. That's how you know that's what they're looking for. Let's do some of the practice together. First, we have positive 7 inside those absolute value bars. Well, if I'm thinking about a basic number line, I know that 7 is only 7 spaces away from 0. Well, that's my absolute value, 7. Look at negative 4. Okay. I know negative 4, even though it's negative, is still 4 spaces away from 0. It's just on the left side. So that means the absolute value of negative 4 is still 4. 4 spaces away from 0. I want you to try numbers 3 and 4 on your own. Okay, let's look at our next problem. This time we actually have a math problem. 3 plus negative 1. Okay. If you look above that problem, on your graphic organizer, I have some directions on how to go about solving a problem like this. It's an addition problem with integers. Well, since it's addition, I'll probably start at the top where it says addition, and I'll follow my arrow to the next box. I have to ask myself, do the integers have the same sign? Well, if I start at 3, 3 is positive. If I start at negative 1, that's negative. They don't have the same sign. 1 is positive, 1's negative. So the answer is no. Follow my arrows to the next box. Okay. Subtract the absolute value of the integers. Okay. Absolute value of 3 is 3. Absolute value of negative 1? Positive 1. But it says to subtract them. Seems kind of silly, but okay. 3 minus 1 is 2. After I subtract the absolute value of the integers, it says, take the sign of the integer with the largest absolute value. So I have to go back to my original problem to think about that. The integer with the largest absolute value was 3, because it gave me an absolute value of 3. Since 3 is positive, so is my answer, positive 2. How about this problem? Negative 4 plus negative 1. Again, it's addition. Do the integers have the same sign? Well, -4, -1, yes, they do. They both have a negative sign. So now, follow my arrow to the bottom. It says, add the absolute value of the integers. Okay, the absolute value of -4 is +4. The absolute value of -1 is +1. And if I add the absolute value of the integers, I get 5. Then it says keep the same sign. So that means I have to go back to the original problem again. The signs were negative. So I guess that means my answer is negative. -5. Now it's about to get a little bit more tricky. We have a subtraction problem. 3 minus -2. So now I'm going to start over here. For subtraction, the next step is to keep, change, switch, which basically means to add the opposite. First we have 3. I'm going to keep 3 exactly the same. After that we have a subtraction sign. I'm going to change that. That is now going to be a plus sign. And now the switch part. This was a -2, but I'm going to switch it to a +2. Keep, change, switch. I am now adding the opposite. Instead of subtraction, I'm doing addition. And instead of -2, I'm adding the opposite, which is a +2. 3 plus 2 is 5. That's really not too complicated at all now, is it? If you follow the arrows, you could see that you basically have to go through and solve it just like you did before with the addition problems. When you do keep, change, switch, you're actually changing the subtraction problem into an addition problem. So you can follow the addition rules. Do the integers have the same sign? Well, they do now, 3 plus 2. The answer is yes. And I would just add the absolute value of 3 plus 2, which is 3 plus 2, 5. Keep the same sign. Let's try one more. Now we have -1 minus -2. Again, it's subtraction. So I have to keep, change, switch, or add the opposite. Keep, change, switch. I am now, instead of subtracting a -2, I'm adding a +2. Okay. Follow my arrow over to the addition side again, because now it has become an addition problem. This is gone. -1 plus +2. Do the integers have the same sign? Nope. One is negative, one is positive. So I'm going to subtract the absolute value of the integers. So -1, the absolute value is 1. +2, the absolute value is 2. And I can subtract them. I know the 1 comes first, but that's okay to flip it around. If I subtract the absolute value, I get +1. And I have to take the sign of the integer with the largest absolute value. So remember how we have to go back to the original problem? Well, this is now the original problem. The old one we got rid of. I'm going to take the sign of the largest, of the integer with the largest absolute value, which was 2. And that was positive. My answer is positive. +1. I want you to try the practice on your own. Give it your best shot. Remember to follow the arrows in your graphic organizer. And we can do some more practice tomorrow. Be prepared to share some answers.